Resident Evil Zero is basically the prequel to everyone's beloved game of Resident Evil that came out originally in '96, before then getting a remake. But Zero will go on to be in development, originally planned for the Nintendo 64 disc drive before they ended up opting out of the disc drive because of the poor sales in Japan. So they switched it to bring it to the original Nintendo 64, and I'm pretty sure they were going to use the expansion pack at some point. They never brought it out for Nintendo 64, despite the fact they announced it for the system itself and even showed gameplay for it as well. So with the announcement of the GameCube, they pushed the system to be moved to the GameCube itself, but this time it will utilize both game discs, considering the limitations of those game discs had. It came out in the same year around the same time as Resident Evil 1's remake, which came out earlier of the same year. Both those games were originally GameCube exclusive, and both of them have similar to almost identical graphics. Most people will tell you that both of these games were ahead of their time for their looks and presentation. And it pretty much makes sense given that the GameCube can be powerful, and it pretty much shows it too, with Star Fox Adventures being another example. So, once they brought it out to the GameCube, it was all set out. But there were some problems. They were initially going to make this game a co-op game, but they ended up scrapping it, despite the fact that this game has co-op elements implemented to the game, which really doesn't make any sense. Also, most of the critics and fans will also tell you that this is one of the most difficult Resident Evil games that ever come out. I don't think there was an easy mode when it first came out, but when the HD version came out, they implemented an easy mode, which I could be wrong on this. I have played the GameCube version, but I don't ever recall seeing an easy mode from my experience. So both this game and Resident Evil 1 Remake will both get ported over to the Wii years later. So then, the HD version will then come out on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, and later Nintendo Switch. And as of late, the game was just brought over to GOG in part of the preservation program. I think you guys should go watch my preservation video about GOG. I really think you guys should go check it out and see what I'm talking about, because most people don't seem to know what it is, and I've already made a video covering it, so check it out whenever you want to. And there are some bonuses on the HD version. Now, I also want to further mention, this game has more costumes than the original version itself, but they're locked behind a paywall of a DLC. Although one of them is free, and I believe you guys get the Switch version, you get all the costumes intact. And you can play with the costumes at any given time in the game itself. All you have to do is go to the briefcase of your character, switch it to whichever costume you want it on, and you're all said and done. But most of the costumes are for Rebecca and less for Billy. Billy only has 2 of them. Yeah, imagine in favor of Rebecca over Billy. But here is what's cool about Rebecca's stuff. She has one costume from the original Resident Evil, along with its director's cut version, Resident Evil 2's volleyball costume. There's also some fan design shirts for her to wear, I guess. And there's also a Shadow of Fear shirt she can wear. But there's also a Mercenaries 3D costume, which is the nurse. Yeah, that was a 3DS costume on the Mercenary spin-off game. And here's the interesting part. The Nintendo 64 version of the costume itself, which is also here as well. Which is a good sign that they actually know that there's the beta that was already out there, so they brought the costume into the game. Billy only has 2 Billy only has 2 costumes based off different Capcom games. One is Mercs and one is Street Fighter. But that's it. And as another bonus, if you beat the game in the HD version on any difficulty, you'll be able to unlock a Wesker mode. Yes, you heard that right. It's basically the main campaign, but there is some differences. Wesker is a playable character, which replaces Billy, although the voice lines is still Billy, which most people will say it's lazy. But he does have voice lines in terms of commands, and that's it. That's all I gave him. But there are some exclusive stuff that Wesker has that nobody else does. For one, he can go really fast in the levels. All you have to do is hold B and aim to the joystick, and then he does his thing. It tells you how to do it too. And while you aim, you hold the left face button, which is called a death stare. And whenever the more timing he holds the death stare, the more powerful it becomes. As a matter of fact, it can kill it can kill everything in the room with one hit, especially with zombies. So that's basically it. And Rebecca does have her own brainwashed costume as well. So that's the biggest difference. So the story goes that Rebecca is looking for Billy, who's a wanted criminal. But then, well, you find him and he forces you to cooperate with him. But at first she says no, but then she was getting ambushed by zombies where she had no choice but to cooperate with him. But there was a bigger threat, so they both gotta go stop it. Both characters have 6 item slots, but if you have a weapon like a shotgun or a grenade launcher, for whatever reason being, it fills up 2 of your slots. Yeah, imagine playing Resident Evil 1 and you just want to get a shotgun that fills both your slots and becomes an unplayable state. All because you want to try to find a way to fight the final boss with good weapons and whatever, only to get cramped by item limitations like this. I mean, they both have combinations of 12, but I don't get why a shotgun needs to be, well, 2 slots for the thing instead of just 1 like the other games we've all played. Also, this game has no item box. Yeah, you heard me right. There's no inventory item box. So, meaning if you want to grab whichever item you want or whichever weapon, you have to drop the item and then go back for it whenever you want to. Which is going to make things less enjoyable, all because of backtracking. They seem not to be far, but let's be honest, who wants to backtrack in a Resident Evil game? Unless if it's puzzles, but you will backtrack this game a lot more than any other game in the series, I guarantee you that. But sometimes some of these puzzles in this game are questionable. What's weird is that when I first encountered the chess puzzle, I was thinking to myself I should match the thing at the desk, which is exactly what I was trying to do, or probably do the opposite of it, or try to, or whatever. And most people will tell you that they got poisoned. Yeah. But turns out doing just one move will do you good and you're all set. Which raised a lot of questions. Also, during the beginning game, you have to stop a train from crashing itself. You have to put on the brakes, but you have to try to solve some sort of like math problems on how to add up to these different numbers to equal the exact number, but you have to do it exactly 9 different times. What I mean is that you have to equally do them with 9 times in terms of like the number that's you're given. You have to do all 9 tries or whatever. You see what I mean, but it's ridiculous. And there's even one where you can't even see because the glass broke. Yeah, that's basically it. But again, this game is definitely on the difficult side. I'm not talking about the combat. The combat is usually pretty normal. I just mean like inventory management and sometimes trying to figure out where you need to go next. Because sometimes there's puzzles where it requires you, or at least try to get an item where it requires you to push a crate and go up to reach thing, or have your partner boost you up. And you always need your partner with you. But there are also sometimes puzzles where you need to separate your partners, which comes with a command button. You tell them to stay, you tell them to go. You can switch them at any given time as well. Or unless if there's like a situation where you can't switch them, then good luck with whatever you're doing. You can also command your partner to attack enemies, or you can leave them idle and they won't do nothing for you. Now, getting ammo, you want to make sure you know what you're doing. There's a lot of pistol ammo, but you can't really just try to use it in one go. And you're really going to want to try to mathematically, like if you want your partner to hold a pistol while you do so too, then you can pretty much half the ammo to your partner, which is good. Sometimes it might get a little bit more, but it shouldn't be a big deal. I want to also mention that both characters have complete different attributes. For an example, Billy can push heavier crates, and he can play a piano where Rebecca couldn't, even though in the remake she kinda can, but you get it. And Rebecca can actually mix and combine chemicals and also herbs together, and Billy can't. So she's more of like a herb expert and mixing expert, you know, because in Resident Evil 1 she pretty much proven it, and Billy can't. So if you want to give Billy your health that's pretty much combined of the herbs, you're gonna need her to combine them instead. So just like Resident Evil 1, both characters have exclusive items. Billy has a lighter, but he needs lighter fuel because he ran out of gas. And Rebecca, as I mentioned before, has a chemical mixing, which is pretty useful for certain things. So, let me just say, some puzzles are easy, some puzzles are hard. Some of them are confusing, and some of them are just strange. I just don't understand this at all. So, yeah, this is basically one of the hardest games you play, unless you somewhat play in easy mode, that is. Because it saves you somewhat lesser ammo, but even if you do play a normal, it's already difficult enough, so what's the point? So yeah, this is by far, some people might consider this one of the worst in the series, but at the same time, also the most difficult. If the difficulty is too much for you guys to handle, then you could play an alter version of the game, known as Umbrella Chronicles, which is a compilation of campaigns of Resident Evil 0, 1, and 3. I mean, if you guys want to play in arcade style, then be my guest. I mean, overall, it's more of an abridged version of the story, but with some tweaks here and there, just to be more forcibly be more co-op instead, which is the point. It should have just been a co-op game, although you can control the other partner with the R stick, but again, it's not going to do anything. And speaking of stuff, I heard that they're going to be doing a remake of the game, potentially, and it's rumored. I mean, you guys can't probably say that it's false because they've all rumored Resident Evil 4 getting a remake, and we all know how that turned out. So it might be likely that it's going to receive a remake anyway, so I hope they do a few things. 1, add an item box. 2, add a co-op mode. Seriously, do one of them. I don't care how, just make it, you know, playable at least. I don't think the story's an issue, but again, what am I gonna say here? So, it's gonna be a difficult experience for you guys when it comes to Resident Evil 0. So if you guys want to, you can give it a try and see how it goes. If it's too difficult, then I don't blame you guys.